Good evening, everybody. This is Omar with Unity Tax Partners. Welcome to our intermediate training webinar. I want to just kind of let you know that I'm joined here with Alexis Bailey. We use the Zoho platform, so feel free to give us a thumbs up if you're able to hear me clearly. Give us a comment if there's something not clear. I'm about to share my screen. And I'm going to move it over to Alexis to go over the rules of the webinar and how you can ask questions, and we go from there. And I will be doing the intermediate, practice returns. Now, one of the things I want to mention, and Alexis can too, is I shared the file of the intermediate webinars and the scenarios that I'm doing now, as well as Alexis shared the shortcut keys. Alexis, do you want to go ahead and give them the rules of engagement while I go ahead and share my screen, please?
Yep. Hey guys, thank you again for joining us at this 6 o'clock time frame. I know we actually have a lot of you guys on here, so we're super excited. As we kind of go through these, again, we are going to be hitting on those intermediate returns. So they're going to be a step up from those returns we did last week. During this webinar, you will see Omar, navigate different forms, intentionally leave things off here and there. That way we can show how different diagnostic errors work and everything. So be patient with us as we move through this webinar. Throughout the webinar, any questions you have, comments, concerns, we do invite you to type in the Q&A. We typically will reserve questions for the end of the webinar, but if they're quick things I can answer throughout, I will. However, we will not be doing live questions with hand raising and mic takeovers tonight. So anything that you do have questions on, go ahead, send over in the Q&A.
We'll be more than happy to go.
Oh, go ahead, Omar.
Yeah, and it's a good point you're making, Alexis, that, we can't really open up the mic. We want to try to cover as much material as possible. So we're always available. And if you ever run into anything, just give us a call. We'll just a phone call away. We can remote in and walk you through any specific scenario that you're uncomfortable with. Let me make sure. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep, I see, Omar.
Okay. Some people have questions about being able to open up the practice scenarios. Do we need to push them out?
Yeah, so it actually just broadcasts it on their screen. So I would show them exactly where to go ahead and get the practice returns from the support portal.
All right, let's go ahead and do that. So Alexis made a lot of good points, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the support portal really quickly. So, oops, I closed my screen. There we go. You want to go to support.taxwise.com. And then you want to go to training. You want to go to online training portal, and then you want to go to preparing a return. Now, if you're not logged in, you need to log in. So I'm going to go ahead and log in here. When you log in, you'll see learn, practice, and engage. You want to click on practice, and then you can see beginner, intermediate, advanced, and an answer key. This is for 1040. And those of you who want to practice 1065s and 1120s, we have those available as well. But it's also available in the webinar. If you go to files, you should be able to find them. If you dig on the bottom of your screen in the webinar view, it should already be. Give me 1 second. I'm going to log back into the software. Sure, we go back to practice. All right. So I'm in my dashboard right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a split screen between the software on the left and the practice scenarios on the right. These scenarios are pretty cool because they kind of give you some real life examples of some of the stuff you're running into. Now, keep in mind, last webinar, which you guys all have access to the recording if you need to pull it up on our YouTube page, we covered settings, templates, which is a huge thing. If you are a new office to us and you do not have your template set up, please give us a call. Make sure you get the template set up. It is the fastest way for you to speed up your software experience, because what it does, it eliminates a lot of the guesswork and a lot of redundant data entry. We covered prior years. As you know, it's a fully dynamic cloud-based software. So I'm in 25. My scenarios will be done in 25. If you need to go back another year, you can just select 20, change the 25 to 4, 2, 1, whatever year you need to prepare. That's how nice the software is. There's no updating or anything changes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try as much as I can to replicate real life scenarios. So you'll see me, there's multiple ways you can use TaxWise and whatever you feel comfortable with. I tend to present what I think works best for me, but it might not be the best for you. So I'll show you different ways how you can input the data. My idea is always to get the most accurate return done as fast as possible, because that's all we're interested in, really, is efficiency and progress when it comes to our software, but also accuracy. So if you're not comfortable with what I'm doing, definitely ask me a question or just go the slower path, maybe use the interview mode, use the F1 key for question marks. They will help you a lot during the way. So right now, hopefully everyone can see my screen. I'm going to try to make it as readily available as possible here. I'm going to start with scenario 1, and I'm going to go to my software, go to tax returns, create a new return. Now, if you look to the practice scenario, this practice scenario, we will practice selecting filing statuses. Obviously, this is something we have to do on every return. Entering W-2 information accurately, determining if you qualify for educational credit or not, complete the 2441 to claim child dependent care expenses, and do the e-file and refund preference. So you have the taxpayer info, the dependent info, and additional. So what I'm going to do is, if you follow along, there is the social, the fake social that we're going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and put in 201, and I just make up, I'm not going to use my EFIN number. They tell you to use your EFIN, just make up any numbers. So I'm just going to do 6564 6464. 201 6464. And then you have the option to go interview or forms. I'm going to go to tax form. Oh. 01. There we go. So again, when it comes to TaxWise, I always say I start and end in main info, and I have to get rid of all the red. So right now I'm in the main info screen. I'm going to go in here and start typing away. I'm going to start, and all you got to do is follow along with what I'm doing. I'm going to type in the taxpayer information. I'm going to go ahead and key in the dependent information and go from there. So let's go ahead, turn my caps lock on for you cap lock fans. I like to do it that way. Let's go here. Put the address. Is 03 692, and her occupation is assistant manager. So once we put in the demographic information, it's always going to make you answer the next screening questions. So you want to make sure that you answer if their address change. I'm going to say no, because that's not part of the scenario. Was the taxpayer main home or spouse filing a joint Intermedia for more than half? I'm going to say yes. Is this a Puerto Rico? I'm going to say no. And did they receive healthcare marketplace? Well, let's see the additional notes, what it says. Maria and her son Jerry live with Maria's mother. Maria works and starts attending college this year. Maria's mother helped with household bills, but Maria primary support for herself and Jared. So we know she can claim him. Maria's mother also covers both Maria and Jared's health insurance through her employer. This is the answer. So we were going to say no, that we're not putting in any healthcare data for this taxpayer. Since both Maria and her mother work, Jared attends Kids World Daycare. So we have to do the daycare credit for her and education credit. But for this purposes, I'm answering those questions here. I got all my answers. Usually these are quick questions. You can get your answers from your taxpayers as you go. And then finally, they're going to ask you the cryptocurrency question. Those are pretty easy. Either they do it or they don't. Bitcoin or trade on Robinhood, that's where you go. So it looks like we have a taxpayer and a dependent and her son. So we are going to say head of household. Scroll down to the dependent information and key in the dependent. Here is her son. Months in home. Difficult questions. If you're coming to us from another software, I'm sure you're very familiar with all these questions. And full-time student, non-disabled, and let's keep going. I'm going to skip the state part. And this is it, type of return bank product, e-file only. I'm just going to select e-file only since the bank packages are not available yet, and those are, pretty straightforward, doesn't involve any actual tax preparation knowledge, just data entry. We got the PIN information here. You're going to always have to put in the taxpayer PIN. I authorize, put today's date. You're going to always do this on every single return. December 7th, which is going to be today's date, the date you're working on the tax return. When it comes to the ID questions, that's totally up to you. But as you know, if you do a bank app or a bank product, you're going to have to provide a state, or you're going to have to provide a driver's license, essentially. I'm just going to say did not provide it, because if only let us go. And I'm going to say no on a third-party designee. You can preset this in your template. I did not, because I like to cover it, make sure some people know that you can select this. And it's always going to ask you to verify your PTIN. We got our demo office. If you look to your left, main info is checked in green. Just a reminder, green is correctly calculated in the software. Red needs your info, so you got to fill that out. If you see like blank sheets, these are just random forms that are not added to the actual tax return. They're either worksheet that you use to calculate something, but it's totally going to be irrelevant to most tax returns. So your main concern should always be to get rid of the red. So let's keep going. Skip the PIN method. They wanted to paper check. And that's fine. We picked e-file only. We didn't put if you want a paper check, what you do is just not put in any direct deposit information, and you select e-file only. So let's get preparing here. This is going to be Maria's W-2. So multiple ways you can add forms. The quickest, easiest way for me to do it is I go to my loaded forms here. I click on the plus sign and I type in W-2. And then it adds it. Another way you can do it, which I'm going to show you, it's not really ideal, but I just want to show you how dynamic the software is. If you go to your page 1040, like if you're familiar with the 1040, you can go directly to box 1, which is where the W2 goes, click the plus, link it, or press F9, and it will show you all the different forms that can go in there, and you can select W2. But it's really not the best way to do it. I just like to add it directly through that way. Again, I want to get rid of the red. So the address is the same, Jones Bend. Put in the EIN. Burger King or Pizza Hut, well, Burger Hut. Short, Indian. That's 180561. Now it auto calculates the rest of the fields. What you want to do is double check them, and it looks like they're correct. Obviously, the software will always round up in the W2. I'm going to go ahead and confirm it. That is correct. Look to your left. The W2 is inputted correct. And what I do at this point is I ignore the red and I just keep typing in the next available forms that I have to go through. So the next one is going to be the 1098T. It's a tuition form. Let's go back to the notes. It doesn't mention. Okay, so Maria also received 1098T for college. So Maria is the taxpayer, and she received $500 Pell Grant, which was used to purchase books for her classes. So let's see here. Did they mention any other expenses for college? I don't see it. It looks like we just have a straightforward 1098T. Again, we just go to input form, click plus. Another way you can do it, education. Credit 8863. If you don't remember the form, go directly there. Type in the student name. Or social. Just like you're seeing it on the 1098T. Highway 27. And then you answer if they received the 1098D. Do they have box 7 checked? They do not. And then we gotta put the EIN. And you just put in the EIN here, 518212. It's like you would see it. Then you got to go through these questions. As you can see how like the rest of the questions are black and just not red. So when I answer this, let's see if they tell us if they clean. She starts attending college this year, so she has not claimed credit or education, American Opportunity Credit. And she was at least, according to the 1098T, half-time student. Didn't complete. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with these questions, so I'm going to skip that. So now we have to do a little math. They did get a $500 grant, and this is their education expenses. So real simple, we just do a quick calculation. Let's go ahead and pull out our calculator. Trust the calculator. We don't trust our math without a calculator. Minus 500. It is 18, 10, 15. And that is the amount, because they will not get credit for what they received as their scholarships or grants. That's not automatic here. So let's see what else we got on this return. As you can see on my left side, I have quite a bit of red. So let's go ahead and just, what I do, and honestly, like what I do is I input all the data that I have the customer hand me the paperwork. And at that point, I go back and I start clearing out red. So let's go back here. What's red here is, has the credit been disallowed before? Obviously, it never claimed it. So let's see, no. Let's see, the 8812, has the child tax credit been disallowed? I'm going to say no. And let's go. Now it's going to ask me for, yes. It doesn't matter which ones you go to, everyone. Just make sure you clear out the red. So let's go ahead and answer these questions. So they are head of household. And we are done here. Now you got your 8867, which is the due diligence. So let's answer those. What I do is, the nice thing about the software is you don't have to read the entire forms. It's going to take you directly where you need to go. So I'm just going to go directly to red. See, there's the top part. Right? So now everything is green except page 2. What does page 2 want from us? You want to do direct deposit? You want a paper check? Someone say no. They're going to paper check, which is something that's not going to be much available very soon, as you all know. So now that everything's complete, let's take a look at the 1040. 1040 is filled out with the correct information. Now, at this point, don't worry about the price sheet is going to be red because mine is not fully configured. Most of you are going to always have a red price sheet unless you're very diligent about making sure that every single form is accounted for. You don't really have to do that, but you could. See when it says 1, that means this 8863 is used and I have 0 amount. That's the reason why it's red. So don't worry about it. It doesn't prevent anything. These are personal preferences. And if you need help with pricing, definitely give us a call. We'll help you out with that. Now, I ran diagnostic. So what I did is I hit diagnostic. So I'm sure a lot of you were thinking, like, why is he not claiming EIC? Well, I wanted to show you a scenario. It appears you might qualify for EIC, but I didn't mark it. So you can never miss earned income credit, even if you forget to mark it. So let me go back to the main info here. Go to my dependent information, and I'm going to select EIC for this dependent. Run diagnostic again. What does it tell me? I need to fill out all the required form at 8867. Now, if I click it, it'll take me directly to the form, which makes it a lot easier. Whenever you have an issue with diagnostic and you see an error message, if you click on it, it will take you to where you need to do to fix things. Again, let's go here. Page 1's clear. Let's enter page 2. All right. As you can see, the refund went from like 4,000 and something of 8,500. Now I answered all the due diligence. It will force you to go to the ESE worksheet and just answer the child is unmarried, all our favorite questions. Yeah. Nobody else can claim them. And they want to make sure that they have a good social. And then we're going to say it was not. Everything's green except price, which is normal. We're going to run diagnostic. Let's see what it says. Now you do have errors, which in red. If you see anything in red, you need to make sure you correct it. If it's in warning, it's going to be in orange, and that is just for your own reference. And remember, for this practice return, they said that this person wanted a paper check, but look what the warning tells you. There's a refund, but no direct deposit was provided under Executive Order 14247. Refund request without banking for an expected delay for up to an additional 6 weeks. To avoid this delay, make sure you provide direct deposit. So you can let this taxpayer know, hey, if you don't give us your direct deposit, it's going to take forever to get your check. So make sure you let them know that. And it gives it as a warning. It doesn't prevent you from finalizing the return, but it does bring you good information that you can use when you talk to your taxpayer. So for this purpose, this return is complete. I'm just going to go over the summary. Let's go to, so you can see they got all this credit. This is their AGI. They got 42,28 EIC, and this is their earned income. You can look at all this stuff here. Another thing I want to mention, which I can't really replicate in this scenario, but you, especially first year offices, will need to go 1 year with us. But I like to use the 3-year summary sheet. If you don't, you make sure you add this to your template, because what it does, it gives you kind of like a preview of their prior 3-year history. And I use that a lot because sometimes they ask, was my refund up, down, or why doesn't this add up? You'll see a good summary of over the past 3 years, what their income was, what their EIC was, what their credits were, what their tax bracket was. This is a really good form that I feel gets underutilized by a lot of our tax preparers. So definitely make sure you check that off in your template so you use it, and it will always carry forward year to year. And those of you who have been with us will automatically generate. So make sure you use that form. It really does make your life easier instead of having to flip back and forth between different years. All right, so this return is complete. This completes practice scenario 201. Please feel free to practice it on your own. And if you have any questions, call us. I'm gonna go ahead and hit save and close on this one. Now we're gonna go to the second scenario, 202. We are going to determine the correct filing status, entering W-2 information, enter interest income, determine if they qualify for education credit. We're going to report health coverage, and we're going to complete the e-file process. Something that we'll cover in the next, we'll do actually a video once we're able to show you guys. Once the bank packages come out, I'll do an on-demand video for everyone to view how to complete the e-file process and select the proper bank info. But for this person, we got Glenn Brown, and Barbara Brown is his spouse. They're married with no children. Glenn works as a court reporter, and Barbara runs a craft business out of her home. The couple had several medical expenses last year and would like to itemize deduction if it would be beneficial. Since she worked out of home, Barbara would like to claim a deduction for the business use of her home. She has a room in the house dedicated for creating and selling her crafts only, which she uses the entire year. We're going to do Schedule C and see if it qualifies for business income deductions. The total area of her home is 3,600 square feet. Barbara's work area is 9,800 square feet. Use simplified method. They want to get e-file to return. Okay. And we got all the expenses. We got the medical list. So this is quite a big return. So I'm going to take it step by step. If you have any questions, we'll definitely answer them. Type them in the Q&A, and I'll be more than happy to just go over something that I need to cover a little bit heavier with this one. Well, this is also another good return to practice on. So first things first, we start a new return. And let's go with Glenn Social 02 111 He'll be number one. Return. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the data. Typo there. We're not going to call it. All right, did the address change? I'm going to say no. Was the taxpayer? Yes. I'm doing Puerto Rico. Now we do have healthcare coverage. I believe we do have a 1095A form. Let's see. Yes, we don't have a healthcare. We're just reporting health expenses. So wait a minute, married filing joint. We have no dependents. We're going to skip the state. I'm going to say e-file only. And we're going to underpin. Skip the ID part. I'm sure everyone knows how to key an ID. And now we should be. Meaningful is green. What's the next step? Let's input data. So it looks like we're going to jump directly into Schedule C. I'm going to add a form. Schedule C. This is going to be for Barbara, I believe. So you pick spouse. So it changes the Schedule C to spouse information. And let's put the type of business that she does. Draft. Now, when it comes to business codes, you can obviously Google it, or you can, a quick way to do it is to go here, press F1, go to IRS codes right here, and then go to Schedule C business codes. You can use Control F or hit search, Craft. Let's see if we have anything for craft. Let's say art. Oh, that search is working. Sorry. So we're gonna name it current art dealers or florists for it. Just for sake of time. All the business codes are there. You can look them up. Let's go ahead and pick the address. She's working out of her home. So it's going to be 223 Cedar Creek. That is in 30124. Now let's go ahead and enter this. Barber made 13,000 gross receipts with 1,500 in returns. So we're going to put in 13,234, and she had 1,520 in returns. This is straightforward, and I know that you might not get a lot of people that are just going to present you with this type of paperwork. Now, if you do need to add, I'm sure a lot of you were questioning, what if you do have a miscellaneous? If you go to this form and click new, there's where your miscellaneous forms are. So go here, hit F9, and click miscellaneous NEC or whatever form you need to use to go on the gross receipts. In this practical purpose for what we're doing, I'm just keying in the data because this is the scenario that's presented. I'm going to go and put in the expenses. 455 advertising, office expense. Now look at this. We have legal fees and professional expenses, and usually those go on the same line. So you can easily add them up. I'm going to show you a trick to avoid using the calculator. If you go directly to the form that needs multiple inputs for calculation, hit F9, select the scratch pad, and just key them all in here. So legal fees, 300, professional services, and then go back, and it adds it up in here. Make sure that makes sense. 915. And there it is, 915. So I added them. And then we have license for business. We can add another one here for licenses. Let's go back. And there it is, 1040. Oh, cute. Made it exactly 1040. All right. So these are the expenses. It's jumping directly to medical expense list, so that's not part of the Schedule C. Let's go back because they did mention that she does have business use of home. So which form that goes in, you can add the form, or you can go here and find this, the home expenses. So when the Schedule C, you can either look for the form, and what I did here is I wasn't exactly sure which form I wanted to use, so I just typed in home. And those of you who are familiar with home, it'll be 8829. And then we're going to add it to the Schedule C. So the 8829 is its Schedule C is in green. Always make sure when you add additional forms that they're listed in the same form tree as your main form. If it's not, it won't calculate correctly. And you'll also notice it because it'll be in white, it will not be in green. So let's go ahead and say the business use of home here. Area uses. So we're going to say she's using 980 square feet of her home, which is 3,600 square feet. That should do it. It's going to ask you which number. Let's make sure it's in there. So the only thing on the left is the red, and on the right is my Schedule C, which has been complete. Now, we do have medical expenses. Let's see what he had. He had 2,400 X-ray. Okay, so whether it qualifies or not, let's go ahead and add a Schedule A. So I'm going to go ahead and add a Schedule A. You see on the Schedule A, the first line, I'm reimbursed. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to link it to a new itemized deduction sheet, and this is where I would put in their medical expenses. So to make it easy, I'm going to put in 100 X-ray, which is 15. And then we had so both of them paid 140 for the dentist. 40, and then she also had a root canal. So let's put Memphis. Let's use the scratch pad form for this. And we're going to put in Memphis 140, root canal 6100. That calculates it for us. So keeps us organized, keeps us up from having to calculate everything manually in the calculator. This way it's easier, quicker. I think it's quicker. And then she spent 244 glasses. 244. So let's see here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and get rid of the red. Page 1. We're going to skip that. It's going to ask you if they itemized last year. Let's go to schedule 16. Getting rid of all the red. Now let's see if we missed anything. We put in the W2. No, we need to add W2. W2 is for Glenn Brown. Oh, I used Barker Hat before, so we'll skip that one. And we're going to go City of Rome. Let's confirm the numbers here. It usually does a good job calculating them unless there's something different. We're going to put retirement plan and we're going to put in the boxes. Now those boxes go in box 12, 332.08. And then we're going to put in D 41.25. What else we got? Let's make sure everything is clear. W2 is clear. Now we have 1098 mortgage interest. So where does that go? That goes on Schedule A. Let's go back to our Schedule A. Let's go to mortgage interest. And it makes it really easy, everyone. You don't have to key in all this data. What I do is just go to the form from 1098 right here to 879. That's all you got to do. Also, same thing for taxes. They had 654. Oh no, they had 654 insurance premium. I don't think that's something that counts this year or hasn't been counted for a while. So we're gonna skip that. I thought they had taxes, but if they did have taxes for mortgage, you would just key it in the same exact way. Let's see what else. Okay. That's it for this tax return. If you want to do the general sales tax, you see how it's in red? We can go ahead and do it now. As you know, if they had a major purchase for sales tax, you can itemize it and clear it with there, or you can use the worksheet. So I'm going to use the worksheet for this purpose, which I think everyone does. This person is in Georgia. I'm going to put Georgia. And A. That's not California. And that's it. So it gives you 417 general sales tax. There it is. Estimates it based on the AGI. Makes things a lot easier. Now let's look what's here in red 8880. The taxpayer full-time student, we're going to say no. The spouse wasn't a full-time student. They had their own business. And I should do that for us here. Now, sometimes in very rare situations in the software, you'll see how it's in red. Now, if I had diagnostic, let's see if it pops up. You see how it doesn't show up as an error, yet I have it in red here? These are situations where it doesn't matter. Like this is something that not apply to everybody. If it bothers you seeing the red, just hit F3. It will auto take it out. If they, obviously they might not have a distribution, it just has it in there to test you. And if I run diagnostic, it didn't show up in there. And this is another thing where I didn't put a direct deposit. $866 refund for this one. Let's see what else we got. It's asking me for a direct deposit. I got rid of the information there. And you can run diagnostic as many times as you can. This was kind of a bit of an in-depth return, but what I did is I tried to replicate a real life scenario where you might not have the same all the information laid out nicely in a summary like what I have in a demo. So you might have to go back and forth. So the idea is to just feel comfortable knowing the theory of the software. And the theory is get rid of the red and then add the forms. Don't worry about getting rid of, like, start in the main info, add the forms, all the forms the best you can, then go back in, get rid of all the red, and then run diagnostic and ask the proper questions if you're missing something or something doesn't add up. All right. I believe I have a question here about Schedule A donations. Yeah, it's simple. Daniel, I believe that's what's asking us. If you have charity, it's right there. Yes, by cash or check. As you can see right here, I can go to there. You can link it to a new form and add a scratch pad, or go to the existing itemized deduction worksheet, which is a lot more easier to use. And there's your charitable miles, name of charity and amount. Everything's there. Any other questions on this return? %20 of AGI, Daniel. Depends on that. So if you can see right here, it actually lists it here. He's asking what percentage of AGI and the different answers there. And there's where you can find them. You can also hit F1 and get specific answers on a question. So we've done Schedule C. I got a few minutes left. If you guys have any specific questions that you want to see, or concerns, or like, did I overlook something, let me know in the questions. Again, the scenarios are all included in your webinar files, as well as you can find them on the support site. Highly encourage you to at least do all the beginner scenarios, get comfortable with all the beginner ones, and then do all the intermediate scenarios and get comfortable with those. Don't push yourself to do the hard ones. They get too complicated in the beginning until you're actually very comfortable with the first. There's total of 30. Okay. You got the 10 beginner. You should be able to breeze right through them right now. If you're struggling, let us know. We'll walk you through them. Definitely do those. And then do the intermediates. Get comfortable with all 10 of them. And then start working towards your advanced. But to get going with the software, I would only focus on the first two and then go from there. Build that basic foundation of getting used to the software. Most of you should already know how to do taxes, just being able to drive the software. That's where really the learning curve comes in, is being able to know where to add certain things. And again, if I'm a little bit off, I apologize. But what I'm doing here is I'm showing you how to navigate the software to the best of your abilities to drive it. Now, there's different things that could be involved from year to year, and there's different credits. You definitely want to make sure that you cover that. Like I said, use the summary sheet is very useful, especially if you're a returning client, and look at your return summary sheet. And let me run diagnostic one more time. Everything looks good. No, nothing here. Would it be possible to pick a scenario that asks for I can. Well, a bunch of questions. Just kidding. I got excited about that one. Okay, so let's do depreciation since I got a Schedule C out, and I know that's a lot of that's a big one. Watch what I'm doing. It's a multiple step process. Let me go ahead and do that. So we're gonna go kind of go on our own here now. I'm gonna close out the scenarios here just to give you a better view of the software. So depreciation, and it applies across all forms, whether you do a Schedule E, Schedule C, whatever it is, you go directly to the form. You see where it says depreciation? I can go here, hit F9, new depreciation amortization worksheet, business activity, which is refers to, what is it, draft? She does. We're just going to breeze through that. This is kind of big. Let me zoom out a little bit. Right. Yeah. Can I use it with that? So there we go. And then what the first thing you do, okay, so I added the 4562. What I did was I went to Schedule C and I linked it directly under the depreciation. Now you don't have to do that. You can always click the plus and add the 4562, but the quickest way to do it is this way. Now, another step you got to do is go to 6A, because you got to do the asset worksheet, hit F9, depreciation amortization worksheet. Now you put in the, this is where you put in your asset. So what are we going to say? Let's just say it's, most of the depreciation, I guess, is going to be equipment or real estate. So let's just say it's real estate in this case. And you see how the asset type, you got different ones. Let's go residential rent. And then you put in the date, place, and service. You should have all that information. And then there's your information here. You put in the price, just 150,000, and then you would have to do the convention, which depends on what you use, and then you put in the prior year depreciation if you had it. Say 600 just for this. it will carry over, but if you're coming from different, you definitely need to know what that prior differentiation. Now, we do have conversions that will carry a lot of this information for you, and which makes it a lot easier. But this is how you do the depreciation worksheet. Say 5,000 here. Just to get rid of the green, get rid of the red. Overtime tips for this year? Yeah. We covered that in the webinar with some of the one that Anthony did, and Edwin, thank you for asking that question. Highly recommend you watch that one if you haven't. It goes through all the changes with the big beautiful bill and some of the stuff. Even I'm still not super comfortable with it, but it's something that the software does, and it is called Schedule 1A. That's where it goes. So when it comes to overtime and tips, this is the sheet you want to use. But what I want to say is watch that webinar. It helps out because there's different ways. When it comes to tips, if you're a Schedule C employee, or you're self-employed, you got to account for it just like you account for your miles. You got to keep track of all that, and you put them in there in that form where it belongs. Now, if you are a W-2 employee, what you do is you go to your W-2 and it will be listed as box 7 under Social Security tips. So it makes it a little bit easier for you if you're a W-2. Charles has a question about additional due diligence questions and answers. You can do it on a notepad. You can add another form. You can add a client note. But the problem is the 8867 does not, it's not, it makes it difficult because you can't just keep typing. You have to start a new line, and I get it. Let's see here. And it doesn't let you link to a scratch pad. I would honestly just put it as a client note. It'd be the easiest thing to do. You can also click plus. Let's see if there's additional notes. There's prep notes. This is what you can do. You can use this prep notes field, and you can add it to your template and add additional voluntary information related, but not required to be attached to it. So hopefully that helps. You can do it this way. You can also add client notes. So there's different ways you can do this, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Honestly, I'll just use client notes, but you can also have prep notes, and that you also have the 8867. Remember, guys, get comfortable with e-signatures. They're free for all our users. Everyone has it. Use it. It saves you a lot of hassle with having to get everything signed. Really good way to streamline your system before you e-file return, especially because you're e-filing. Once you hit e-signature and it's signed, everything's set up and you can run diagnostic and e-file. Anything else anybody want to look at? I got a few more minutes. Expenses on miles. Okay, a good one. All right, let's do that. So go to Schedule C, software, always go to the source. If you're not sure, go to the source of the document. So if you're doing miles, Schedule C, just like your questions, I'm going to Schedule C. Let's go to expenses. I believe, yeah, I think it's page 2. So you can do it this way. Let's see. You can put in a vehicle, place in service, 0, let's put 1, 25, and then just put the business miles, 5,000 miles, and click this box, calculates it at 70, and then it makes it really quick. You're doing everything on the Schedule C page 2. Yeah. There we go. I just did it. It gave me a $3,500 deduction, mileage expense, and it added it here under car and truck expense. So what did I do? I went to page 2, Schedule C, and keyed it in directly. I did not link it to any new form. Just put the vehicle placed in service, all that. Very simple. It's pretty easy to do, mamas, to be honest. Let's see what's in red here. So no full investment is at risk. Everything is risky these days. Any other questions, everybody? Did I put everyone to sleep? All right, so I'm just gonna recap. Go to your software, go to the Solution Center, support.taxwise.com, go to training, go to your online learning portal, go to preparing a return. You got to log in, obviously. And get familiar with this. They actually have some nice videos that can show you how to use the different forms. And they do have all the practice returns, answer keys, everything is in here for you. Also, in your software, I just want to reiterate this. When you call us, click on the chat button. It will take you to helpmeunity.com. And if you ever get stuck, oops, this is my person. But what it does, it'll ask you to put in a code. And once you put in a code, we can hop in and walk you through any scenario that you're stuck in or with.
Hey, Omar, I wanted to jump you in and thank you again so much for this fantastic presentation you put on. Again, thank you guys for joining us. We are here to support you and your office as we move into tax season. Thank you again for showing them that useful tool that we have. That makes it easy throughout season if you're having problems within a specific tax return to call us and let us jump directly in. That way we can see what's going on and assist you through it. This is going to be our last training webinar as far as tax preparation goes for the season. However, we do have 2 other webinars coming up this week. So tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we will have our final webinar with TaxWise, getting the most out of your software. In this webinar, we'll briefly touch on mobile app as well as using e-signature and Vault and all of those additional things like Versacom and whatnot that's built into your system. Then this coming Friday, we'll also have our Unity Tax Shield Masterclass at 2 p.m. Eastern Time as well. And that'll be our last one through the holiday season. And then as we're back January 2nd, we'll be having our Versacom webinar at 3 p.m. So there's still a couple more chances to connect with us in a group setting this 2025 year. But if there's anything you need assistance with getting your office up and running, feel free to reach out. Again, our email is support@unitytaxpartners.com. And I think that's going to go ahead and wrap us up for the evening. And we'll see you all the next time. Bye.
Thank you for your time, everybody. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.